Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
I had a lot of people send me this story, probably a couple dozen. Thank you very much. From Denver7.com, a story out of Colorado. And the headline says, Customers Pay. Colorado electronics repair shop sues dozens of its online customers. So in the foothills of Jefferson County, this company looks like any other small electronics repair business. They have a 2,800 square foot facility in Conifer, filled with electronics equipment and several white tables where repairs are done. However, the owner said most of those electronics are not currently being repaired, they're being stored. He said some customers have a tendency to abandon their electronics. Most of the devices here are beyond the 15-day grace period. In a news release last October, the company described the issue as device abandonment, saying customers send their broken devices, but once they get the diagnostic and repair quotes, they decide not to pay and say they don't want their stuff back. Now the company is suing dozens of its customers for unpaid storage fees, while some of those customers are fighting back in court, alleging fraudulent business practices that target online customers. So the company guy says, well, I'll first say that those aren't customers, because customers pay. We're trying to revive electronics, not dispose of them. He said that many of the devices contain personal information, and it's difficult to purge the data. On the other side, some customers have contacted Denver 7 Investigates to say there is more to the story than customers not paying. I'm very entertaining at Christmas time with this story, says one of the customers, speaking with a TV station. His story says it started with a pair of binoculars. I actually typed in binocular repair, and this company showed up. So he shipped the binoculars to this company in Colorado, and the website showed that the repairs were not successful. So the guy said, well, in that case, just give them away. And at that point, a representative responded, we can dispose of your device, however, you're still responsible for the diagnostic fee. Now, the man disputes the amount of the diagnostic fee, but the company responded to him in an email writing, you just did not pay within 15 days of notification. You are now being billed storage as you did not pay your bill. And they want to charge $25 a day for storage. And so the story goes on and on. It's actually about 4 pages long, and I'm not going to get into it, because that right there is the entire gist of the story. And I had a law professor who used to actually stop students when he said, what happened in this case? And the second they got off topic, he'd go, stop, is that a key fact? They said, no. I go, okay, move on. And so what we have is a company in Colorado. They advertise online that we repair electronics. People from around the country will see their ad, ship them electronics, and then presumably this place will fix them. You pay them, and they ship it back to you. The question is, what if you ship it to them and they go, it can't be fixed, or it can be fixed and it costs this much money, and you go, I don't want to pay that. The question is it clearly disclosed that you have to pay a diagnostic fee? And if it is clearly disclosed, well, then that's on you. Now, the question is, what happens if you don't pay a diagnostic fee after you were told you had to, you knew you had to, and you didn't pay it? And so you should know that most states allow people who do work on things to get a mechanic's lien on what they're working on to make sure they get paid. So in a roundabout way, it's almost like they take partial ownership of the thing until they get paid. So you send them the widget for repair. They work on it. They now say, you owe us this much money. Well, even though that thing does belong to you, they're allowed to hang on to it till they get paid. So this whole case boils down to who was told what when. Were the customers told before they shipped their stuff that there will be a diagnostic fee that you have to pay and a repair fee that you have to pay before we ship your stuff back? And is it disclosed that if you don't pay within a certain time frame, we're going to start charging you storage to hang on to your stuff? And so these are things that most people are familiar with when it comes to, like, say, automobiles. Your car gets towed because it's illegally parked. Let's assume your car was illegally parked and the city came by and said, tow this vehicle. Gets towed to an impound yard. You got to pay to get your car back. You got to pay the towing fee and possibly storage fees. Quite often, storage fees will start accruing after 48 hours or 72 hours or some time frame. And that's a little more harsh because most people don't think about that when they park their car and discover that, oh, I parked in a spot, you only park there Monday through Friday, whatever. The question is, were these things disclosed to the customers? And if they were, well, then the customers have got to understand that, hey, that says that right here. If it wasn't disclosed to the customers regarding storage fees and so on, you might have a different argument. But do understand that if the guy repairs your stuff, you do owe him, and you can hang on to the thing until you pay him. Now, the real question is the storage fee. Is a storage fee legal? I suspect most courts are going to say if you disclosed it to them and they agreed to send you their thing, yes, it'd be legal as long as it's not unconscionable. It couldn't be $1 trillion a minute. $1 trillion a minute. No, of course not. So the storage fee was $25 a day. Is $25 a day storage, is that reasonable for a length of time after you've left something with the guy when he's told you it's been repaired, I can ship it back to you, just pay for it? And I have a sneaky feeling a court would probably say yes. But the other question is, because I know in the story there's an example they find of somebody who left something there for a really long period of time. And the guy is suing them for this crazy storage bill, is what they're arguing. And the question then becomes, if the storage fees dwarf everything else, is that reasonable? That's another question. And then finally, some people are upset because they're being sued in Colorado, despite the fact that they live elsewhere in America. So let's suppose you lived in Michigan and you've got an electronic device. You find this guy online, you read his website, and it says, ship it to me, diagnostic fee, you authorize repair, I repair it. And if you don't pick it up or pay for it within so many days, then there's storage fees, okay? If it says on that site, by the way, if you enter into a contract with us, you understand and agree that any disputes between us will be handled by the courts here where I am. That is the repair place. You have to understand that the choice of venue, the choice of forum, is something that most courts will also uphold if the parties agree to it. So I can tell you right now that one of the biggest automotive lenders in the country had its headquarters in Southfield, Michigan for a long time. And every contract they signed said, by the way, if you have a dispute with us, you will sue us or we'll sue you in Southfield, Michigan. And I know that that was fought by all kinds of people around the state of Michigan and in other states. And courts, for the most part, ruled that if you saw that thing in the document you signed when you borrowed the money, knowing that if you said, I don't like that clause, they wouldn't lend you the money, well, you're stuck with it. Now, I remember there being a few cases that went the other way. But for the most part, that's viewed as a contract, and it's understood under contract terms. So when you're looking at websites on the internet, and there's more than one where people say, I can fix your stuff, and you're looking at it, and it has a thing with information, and it says, there'll be a storage fee, and there'll be a repair fee, and a diagnostic fee, and any disputes will be resolved in the courts of Colorado, possibly even listing which county they'd be in. Many courts would uphold that as long as it wasn't unconscionable or like a surprise where it was hidden, like it's hidden in tiny little print 4 pages in that you had to click through a bunch of stuff and nobody ever saw it. Okay, that's always the question, is was it disclosed to the consumer? But a lot of courts will uphold those. But as you can imagine, okay, you get sued in Colorado and they serve you. Well, simply going to Colorado to fight whether or not that's proper still might cost you about as much as it would cost you to defend the case. Now, you can always make the argument and say, well, I have no contact with that state, and the long-arm statute, blah, blah, blah. But again, it's probably going to involve you having an attorney make those arguments for you someplace. So that's the real question. But the upshot of all of this is that if you are going to do service with somebody on the internet, especially where it's not simply you buying something from them, okay? We've all heard of businesses where you buy a service and you can cancel. Or you order a product, they ship you the product, okay? Well, if you don't like the product, can you send it back? That kind of thing. But here, it's unusual in that you're sending them something of yours, and then they're going to work on it, send it back to you after you pay them. And so it's a little bit different, the relationship, because they do have something that belongs to you, but they have that lien on it because of the mechanic's lien. What do they call it, even though the person's not always a mechanic? They sometimes call it an artisan's lien and other things. But like, for instance, a plumber who comes and works on your house, who doesn't get paid, can more often than not file a lien against the house and say, I'm owed money because I improved that house. Because if they didn't allow that, the plumber would then have the only remedy be, I get to come in and remove my plumbing, which is not considered a good thing for society. So the plumber will get paid for the work they did. And if you want to fight that, you fight that in court. But that's another story altogether. Here, the guy most likely has a mechanic's lien for work he did, whether it's for the diagnostic or the repair or both. And the question then becomes, did you agree to the terms of the storage fees, the diagnostic fee, and the choice of venue for the lawsuit? So it's a crazy story, but apparently it hit the news because the guy recently filed a whole raft of lawsuits against people who've left stuff at his place for way too long. And some of them have racked up some pretty big storage fees. And I can see a judge saying, you've got the right to charge storage because space in your shop appears to be at a premium. However, $25 a day for a pair of binoculars might seem steep. It might. So, that would probably depend on the judge. So there you go. From Denver7.com, the story is written by Jacqueline Allen and Joe Vaccarelli. Customers pay. Colorado Electronics Repair Shop sues dozens of its online customers, and a lot of people are up in arms across the country. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. Sometimes the questions are complicated and the answers are so simple.